do this. Yeah, so Cetec is a full suite, all-in-one manufacturing ERP system. So we'll operate everything from the CRM, from customer lead management, sales pipeline, forecasting, through quoting, order entry, all the way through to, as Lance said, reconciling your bank account, collecting cash, reconciling cash in, cash out, all of those pieces with a depth of functionality specific to manufacturing, highly configurable to all different modes of operation, different business types and ways of operating a manufacturing company are all accomplishable on Cetec in one platform, one system that brings all the different departments together. So,
and if I could speak to that a little bit, we've been researching inventory management software for several years, and we've developed a list of potential features inventory management software could have, like over 175 features, right? We've categorized the sales order feature, the purchasing feature, the manufacturer ordering features. And when I learned about Cetec helped me with an assessment of Cetec, and they helped fill out all the check boxes of what features they have and don't have in comparison to the other software programs out there in the manufacturing area. Cetec checks all the boxes I've come up with that software could potentially have, the features that a software could potentially have for manufacturing. So I'm excited to see Cetec, and because we get a lot of prospects and customers that are doing manufacturing. Seems like we focus, like 90% of our customers focus on manufacturing. So it's exciting to hear that Cetec is strong in that side of manufacturing.
Yeah, excellent. There's so much beyond like the high level, unless your breakdown is pretty exhaustive, pretty in depth, and every industry or piece of manufacturing has these unique features that they require. So yeah, I'm excited to walk through the system. The natural starting place to start with a manufacturing ERP platform is with a bill of materials with engineering, largely because it drives all of the processes downstream. You're already setting up a bill of materials as you're turning out drawings, going through BOM revisions with list of materials, labor requirements, work instructions, CAD drawings, things that need to be accessible on the floor. Engineering really lays the foundation for everything in a manufacturing business. So I want to start with just a generic multi-level bill of materials to show the hierarchical exploded BOM view that Cetec goes, large industrial equipment, medical imaging devices that have thousands of components, multiple layers deep, or machine shops, job shops that they're churning a piece of sheet metal, metal fabrication, where the bill of materials are very simple. It's very quick turn. So a wide range of operations that support everything, from phantom bombs, where you're blowing through a subassembly and flattening a complex BOM structure into very simple, straightforward manufacturing process, or your batch building, where you're able to leverage a material resource planning tool to create batch sub orders for each level of this bill of material across consolidated demand. So,
and what about outsourced bombs and customer supplied parts and all these other things that happen, right?
Yes, exactly. All of this is trapped within the bill of material. So the outsourced labor is captured at the subassembly level. So then the materials that you've bought, maybe sent to your contract manufacturer, that cost is captured and tracked on a discrete outsource PO that then rolls up with the cost of materials into that subassembly cost, and then eventually rolls through to your cost of sales. On the bill of material itself, there's a flag, external supplier. This could be customer or vendor. And so that has implications on the material planning side. Okay, what do we buy? Do we need to receive this in at $0 cost because it's customer owned inventory?
And does your software integrate with CAD programs?
Yes, we have partners for this. There's a company called QBuild. There's a couple of other. Zukin is one in the cable wire harness industry, where they take the bill of material drawing and push it directly into Cetec. So you can.
I just want to put in a quick plug for those of you that are on this topic of creating the BOM before you create the sales order. There's a difference between an engineering BOM and an operations BOM. So what's in your CAD software may not be exactly what's in your operations software, or the type of part that your CAD software calls it. Your operations software may call it a different type of part, because your operations software tracks inventory and your CAD software teaches someone how to make the product, right? So the two software has a different goal. So when you're looking at inventory management software, remember, it's inventory management software. It's not CAD software. So let's take a look at the sales order.
Okay, so let's take that bill of materials, and I want to start with the customer record. So from a customer record, a customer calls and wants to place a PO. So I find the customer and create the quote that pulls that data from the customer record, the ship to, the contacts, etc. There are multiple source types for a quote. So if you have a large customer that you can set up EDI, we have a partner for EDI orders, and those get placed into Cetec as this order worksheet. Orders come in through partners we have with SPS Commerce or API Works, where you can set up integrations with Shopify, WooCommerce, Amazon, etc. And these orders auto-populate with all of the data from the order entry or order taking software. And then they're automatically here in Cetec pulling all of that data from the bill of materials within the system.
And
So
also, I saw that you checked the box that said you have configurable bombs too. So if a sales rep is filling out a sales order, they might get some sort of pop-up that says, do you want this option or this option in your production or in your custom part or your semi-custom part, I guess, right?
exactly. And we have levels to that. So we have a full-blown product configurator that allows you to set up rules and validations for different product types. Or you can do a configurator light setup where you just have a list of options. I have different hinge types that I can put on this cabinet, and maybe those have cost implications on the quote and what we resell it to. And so you can simply just swap between different materials on a BOM worksheet on the quote as you're building out that quote or that sales order. And all of that this is all can all be order specific bombs. So you have a permanent bomb, and then you can have order specific bombs. So that's where that configurable bombs comes in, is each order can have its own iteration.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about how robust your software is with manufacturing and how it checks all the boxes of all the features I've thought about over the last 20 years of what software could potentially have. What about the e-commerce side of things? What would you say about how strong or weak your software is for e-commerce companies that have a different workflow? Maybe manufacturing isn't their focus. Maybe their focus is point of sale, counter sales, or e-commerce.
Yeah, we don't necessarily work great with point of sale. E-commerce is great, typically in a wholesale or like a direct to consumer manufacturer. And so those orders can come in directly from a Shopify through an open API that we have partners like SPS Commerce, API Works, who leverage our open APIs to push those orders from Shopify, whatever your e-commerce platform is, into Cetec to then drive the demand, allow you to they'll collect the prepayments. So when that customer pays via credit card on the e-commerce site, Cetec will take that in,
And
track it as the customer liability.
in all fairness, if a company is focused on manufacturing, gosh, I can't think of a example where they'd also be focused on counter sales.
Not not not
So
typically. Yeah.
yeah, but gosh, for those of you that are doing point of sale and you're thinking, okay, I'll watch the next video. Cetec's not for me. Shopify, does point of sale and they integrate with Shopify, and that sort of thing goes with all software programs. So, okay, so there's one way to create a manufacturer order or work order. What's the term your software uses? Production order, assembly, what is it?
Work order. Work order.
Work order. Okay.
Mhm.
So a work order can be created obviously by creating a sales order. What if their model is build to stock?
Yeah, build to stock.
In anticipation of a sale rather than a
Hmm.
reaction to a sale. What kind of tools do you have to help
Hmm.
those that build to stock in anticipation of a sale? Can you show
Hmm.
us those tools?
So yeah, so generally they're running a historical sales by part report that tracks the historical sales of different product lines, and then they're forecasting. And sometimes people have customer forecasts. They're building to their customer forecast, and so you can then import a forecast into Cetec, and that can drive demand for the top level part, the finished good, to say, okay, we need to start planning work orders based on this anticipated demand, or we need to drive demand for the raw materials. Maybe we have some long lead time items that we have to buy from overseas, and so a forecast can drive demand for all levels, all the way from the top down to the lowest level component. And so there are reports and tools to forecast or anticipate. Here's what we've done previously, or here's even what we're expecting this marketing campaign to increase our sales.
And what about predefined healthy stock levels, like safety stock, reorder point, maximum levels, those sort of predefined levels. I
Mhm.
assume you have that sort of
We
thing
do.
there as
Yep.
well. Okay.
Those things operate. We call it ROP, reorder point.
Yep.
That can be configured against the supply. That can be, just a hard, we need 10 on hand at all times. Or maybe we want to configure that to go against our active supply demand signals. So we
Yeah.
want to treat that reorder point as a true zero. And then we call it EOQ, an economic order quantity. That works in tandem through the purchasing and building tool MRP to say, okay, here's the quantity that we buy or build at a time. So that works in tandem with ROP to define your min and your max. We always need 10 and we buy 10. So then you're always living between 10 and 20.
So you've got reports, you've got forecasting tools, which I didn't expect. That's pretty awesome. That gives people a lot of control over the recommendations the software spits out if you know what your customer is planning on buying. That's powerful.
Yeah. As we go through the order entry process, one of the critical pieces here is having a good promise date for the customer. So there are lead times on components, there's capacity planning, there's labor plans that drive, here's our production lead time based on the quantity on our sales order. So Cetec from the sales order at point of entry can estimate a work start date if you're building, or based on lead time and inventory and component availability, can give you an actual promise date out in the future based on real-time data that's actual inventory in our schedule and our capacity to make this, so that you can have an accurate promise date to your customer on the front end before having to go through the iterations of scheduling and rescheduling.
And I assume this same tool that you're showing us for the work order production scheduling and the creation of work orders also works with purchase order creation. And I've seen different softwares work differently, where first you need to get the work orders in there so they create demand of the raw material. And maybe if there's multi-levels of work orders in there, you need to use the tool several times to get the highest level in, which creates demand for the lower levels. And then you get the lower levels in to create the demand for those lower levels. And you build the multiple levels. Could you give us some examples of some customers that you have that use your multi-level manufacturing software?
Yes, we have one customer that I've implemented, makes large asphalt mixing equipment, installs, repairs, so very construction adjacent, where they have large, very complex bills of materials and a very straightforward, simple production process, right? Where it's operates on the floor like a machine shop, but they have very complex bills of materials that they have to set up on the front end to quote and to process through production and then drive material planning. Another example is cabinets, where you'll model a room like a kitchen or an apartment number as a top level BOM, and then you'll have the different boxes or different cabinets nested as sub-assemblies. So often you can go 3 or 4 levels deep on a large project, for a high-end apartment complex. You've got to plan the batch build of the cabinets. So you have to manufacture those. And you also have to drive the material requirements for the MDF, for the hinges, for the screws, for all the paint, the different pieces. You have to schedule to the edge band, to the saw, to the CNC. And so very, complex, large project OEM type scenarios.